drinking? Is that a... Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory, presented by Emprise Bank member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. It's a Monday. I'm here with Maddie Lane. I'm Kent Swanson. Maddie, I have a question for you. Every time I have a little energy to kick the show off, your eyebrows raise and you just kind of perk up a little bit like you're surprised I'm enthusiastic or something. Like, I don't know if it was just the volume that got to you. Like, you do it every time. Like, oh, like you're surprised I'm starting the show.
Yeah. So here's the thing, we sit here and we chit chat for a couple minutes here before the show starts, right? And you're usually like down here, you're just kind of like zipping in. I wouldn't say low energy, you're just kind of like reserved, you're hanging out. And then we come out of that killer intro music, and then you just come out of it like this sometimes, and it really does catch me off guard. I'm not ready for the change there, and I should be after all this time, but. As most people know, and as I have told you before, when you are talking, half the time I am scrolling Twitter on another monitor. So sometimes I'm not paying attention to what you're
saying. I check now to see if I'm getting a reaction out of you. Like when I've introed the show, then I just like peek over to just see like what's the reaction I'm getting out of Maddie for this. And this today it was a little bit okay.
Yeah.
Easy there, killer.
Usually what happens is right as we go live, the KCSN Twitter account tweets out, hey, they're live, come hang out. And I'm trying to make my tweet that embeds that as we get back. And so now that we have the shortened intro, you come in hotter before I can get done typing. So half the time I'm trying to think about what I'm typing, and then you come in real hot at the end of the intro and it catches me off guard. So that's usually how this plays out.
That reminds me, I need to go retweet that, don't I?
Yeah, or you could go the extra mile like I do and add your own flavor to it instead of just hitting just a blank retweet button like I don't know, like some beige wall.
Normally what I do is I go find the link and then I create it myself, and then I go live lab, come hang, which I'm doing right now.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job. You were selling it fantastically.
A great job to everyone that's hanging out with us tonight, though. We appreciate you. We really do appreciate your support of us here at KC Sports Network, and actually. Now that I remember it, there's something that is pretty important to us here at KC Sports Network. It's the KCSN Foundation. And one of the things that we have going here every year, I think this is like the 4th year that we're doing this, I believe, is the KCSN Golf Tournament. It's going to be August 18th. That's a Monday, Monday, August 18th, out at Creekmore Golf Course. We are going to be out there. We are going to be doing our annual tournament, and we are really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun, like it is every year. I think it's called the Tacos and Bourbon Golf Tournament, like it is every single year. So Holiday Distillery will be out there. Tacos provided by Tacos for Life, and all kinds of other tremendous stuff out there for you to experience. It is a lot of fun. Go ask some of the people that have signed up years prior about our golf tournament. It's a lot of fun, but all the proceeds go to the KCSN Foundation. We are very proud to be one of the most efficient foundations that you're going to find. We are very intentional about making sure that the money that is raised is being stretched and given as much as possible to the people we support. So supporting the KCSN Foundation is going to support a lot of initiatives like Feed It Forward. It's going to something that's helping us feed the homeless here in KC. It's going to help with things like book drives and all kinds of great stuff that we're doing here at KC Sports Network with the KCSN Foundation. So we would appreciate your support. I believe the link should be in the description of the show, Tucker. Is that right? So if you do want to sign a team up, you can go check that out. The links will be in the description of this show. And we've got spots available, and it is going to be a whole lot of fun and a really good time for all you golfers. Even if you're not a golfer, you're going to have a good time. We're all going to be out there hanging out, goofing. I mean, Maddie has a good time every single year, and he doesn't pick up a golf club.
Fantastic. No, actually, I do pick up a golf club.
You did this year.
Typically give me, yes, that did happen twice, if I'm not mistaken. I picked up a golf club and took a couple hacks couple hacks out there. And yeah, so that did happen. No, I have a great time. I don't need to pick up a golf club to have a lot of fun out on the golf course. So please come hang out with us. Come, golf, don't golf. It's fine. We're there. We're all having a good time. It's for a good cause. We all enjoy it. And so we would hope to see you guys there on that fantastic Monday.
And, there's raffles and all kinds of other stuff and ways that you can get involved as well to help donate to that. So links in the description of this show. You can also go to givebutter.com/KCSN golf as well. So T Smith asking how Tucker's golf game is. I have a video of Tucker falling and rolling down a hill while playing golf. So,
I was not wearing golf shoes. Let's be clear. Not wearing golf shoes on a dead Bermuda grass in a probably 90-degree uphill slope, probably.
It just rained.
Yeah.
It was still kind of dewy.
Yeah.
It was dry in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to know that, Kent.
Tucker's got a sweet little swing. One of the funniest videos that we've done at KC Sports Network is a video he did for Sticks like 3 years ago. And he had like, what was that? Hot shots. He had like hot shots, sounds and stuff. It was great.
From Wii. Yeah, I had the Wii golf sound effects in there.
Oh, is it just Wii? I thought there was another game that was really popular on like PS2. It was like a golf game.
No, it's just Wii golf. I just added
Hot,
Wii golf.
Hot Shots was a golf game. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that is true. But the sound effects I used were not from Hot Shots. Yes.
Oh, I thought like Perfect Shot came from that.
No. That's from Wii golf.
Gotcha. Anyways, links in the description of the show. Sign your team up, have a good time. If you don't have a team, we can also help you find one too. So that's something that we can get you paired up with somebody as well. Before we get into some of the stuff that we have planned, like we're going to do our lessons learned looking at the Buffalo Bills loss in week 11. Then we're going to preview the guard position for the 2025 season as it relates to the Maddie Lane and Maddie Lane alone, and the opinions of Maddie Lane on gas stations do not reflect the opinions of KC Sports Network. Scale. Before we do that, I would like to ask you, Maddie Lane, because we've seen a resurgence with Derrick Henry last year having a fantastic season with the Baltimore Ravens. Nick Chubb today signed with the Houston Texans for a 1-year, $2.5 million deal that could be worth up to $5 million. Would you have done that for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Sure. Why not? Can't get worse. And what's the base? What are we locked in for here?
$2.5 million is really what it's essentially is worth up to $5 million.
What is Elijah Mitchell's base, right? It was like you were there. He's getting like 1.5 or something like that. Maybe I'm completely wrong and it could be less, but like if that's, you know what I mean? All I'm angling at here is you're not paying Nick Chubb. You're not locked into Nick Chubb for that much more than the Chiefs are locked into Elijah Mitchell. So yes, I would have taken that chance. I would have taken that swing because I think if it works out for Chubb, you are getting a better player than if it works out for Elijah Mitchell. I think where they have been in their NFL careers, and even the last time we had seen either one of them close to healthy, Nick Chubb was the better player. So, yeah, I would be okay of taking that swing. Where we are with the Chiefs now, as of June 9th, I guess I get not doing it, right? Like they have a pretty crowded room with guys that have a lot of question marks, but you think belong getting reps in the league, right? Like Mr. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, even Carson Steele to some degree, Elijah Mitchell if he's healthy. Like all these guys have shown that like, hey, like, they are worthy of getting reps. They are getting worthy of taking snaps. There isn't a need necessarily to pay somebody, but I probably still wouldn't have done it.
Would you rather have Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt on this roster, all things equal?
I would rather have Nick Chubb.
I think I would too. So I think I
don't think there's a running back on this roster that I would say I would definitely take over Nick Chubb at this point.
That's why I'm not a little surprised. Like, I mean, I'm not surprised by it, but like, I wish the Chiefs would have gone in on somebody like this. Like, I think this is a high reward, low risk idea here with Nick Chubb. I mean, this is a guy that had 1,500 yards just a few years ago. He's still only 29 years old. I know last year wasn't great, but like, he's coming back from injury, like help him bounce back a little bit. Like, man, I think this could be a Derrick Henry kind of resurgence for Nick Chubb. I would have liked to see him in the mix because I don't think the bar to clear is very high.
Yeah, and like the hard part with Derrick Henry's just been healthy. Like he's been healthy his entire career. Nick Chubb has been the opposite of healthy, right? And so when he is the thing with Chubb, it's not just you're worrying about age and fall off. You're worried about how many times can he come back from devastating knee injuries and return to a player that he has shown to be before. So like I do get the risk, and like I know you're not saying 1-to-1 he's going to come out and have one of the best running back seasons in the NFL. But just saying that, he might find a new team after being on one team in the AFC North for a long time and find success elsewhere. And like, yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's more likely that Nick Chubb maybe bounces back and for 13 games this year is a quality running back 1 level player. Not great, not one of the best 2 or 3 running backs in the NFL, but a quality running back 1. And that's just something I don't think the Chiefs have right now. So would have done it. Good deal for the Texans, I think, and they are a little bit protected from what they had last year going on. So smart move for them. I wish the Chiefs would have done it.
Micah Hayes asking the question about Jaire Alexander just getting cut by Green Bay. Do you think the Chiefs should sign him? Yes or no, Matt Lane?
Sure. I don't know his contract. Did
sure
he get
you? Sure. You do
so,
this with,
okay,
with
listen, I don't follow contracts. I don't follow the money. I think on the surface he's too expensive for the Chiefs to sign him unless he's still getting paid by Green Bay and he's going to be one of those guys that signs for that minimum because he's already making money from Green Bay. I would have to have that information ready to say
I don't think that is what's happening.
Okay, so if they just have to pay him what he thinks he's worth, no, they should not because they don't have the money to do so, and I don't think he's going to play enough games to be worth what he thinks he's worth.
Okay. I will say the only thing with like Jaire Alexander's market is they tried to trade him and they couldn't find anybody to do it, which, to be fair, not a great contract, right? I don't know if the market is as strong as he thinks it's going to be. And I even like, at what point do you think the Chiefs get in? Like, or would you want the Chiefs to get in? Is it $5 million API? Is it $7 million APY? $8 million? Where are you at? Like, what would you give them?
I mean, you would have to pay him at least what you just paid Christian Fulton, but they just played Christian Fulton that much money, right? Both guys are struggling to stay healthy and play full seasons. Jaire Alexander, when he plays, is clearly a better cornerback than Fulton. So, like, I think it would be kind of hard to go to his agent and just be like, hey, we are going to pay you less than this guy. And it's not like Fulton has been the epitome of health and like consistency or anything. So it feels like it would be hard to get him below that like $10 million per year range. And I think if you're looking at paying Jaire Alexander, especially on a 1-year deal, most likely that much money, it feels like that's going to be tough for the Chiefs to fit under their current cap situation. So yeah, if there's an option to sign him to whatever the money has to be guaranteed, and then there's, all their fun little escalators up to $12-13 million based on how many games he plays, if they can get him on one of those types of deals, sure, have at it. I don't really think there's too high of a number that's realistic for him, as good as he has been and what I think that could do for the Chiefs secondary. It's just a matter of other teams, I think, would be able to and willing to offer a safer floor to his contract.
Okay. Let's just curious. We're just throwing it out there, see what happens. I don't think the Chiefs will be in on him personally. Like I would be a little bit surprised if Jaire Alexander is a Chief, but they've got some dart throws and some depth there that I think they want to see things play out. All right. So we've been going.
Let's do another one. Ian, Germane Pratt. Oh, what now? Yeah, you get mad at me because I want to bring Germane Pratt to the table. Once again, hating on linebackers. Ian asks, Germane Pratt, released by the Cincinnati Fraud Goals. Would you take a run at Germane Pratt?
Probably not. No, I think I'm okay with the depth of the linebacker position. You're kind of in a weird spot where I just don't know how he fits for this current roster. I think you've got 3 starting linebackers. I think you've got Jeffrey Bossa in the wings. I like where this room sits right now. Brandon George is a fun, Willie Gay level athlete that could be a special teams contributor potentially. I mean,
do you trust a guy with 2 first names?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm trying to go through like the Chiefs roster and trying to find the first 2 name guy that I'm trying to trust. I don't know. Great question. Creed Humphrey count?
No.
Humphrey Bogart? Humphrey's an old name. I can find you a famous Humphrey. Someone else find this for us in the chat, please. Find us the player with 2 first names for a name that you trust on the Chiefs roster.
Jawan Taylor's a better option than Creed Humphrey.
Okay.
It's a much better
What do you mean? It's definitely a better option.
Christian Fulton,
Justin Reed.
not a Chief.
Do you know a lot of Fultons?
Well, it used to be.
Yeah, Justin Ross.
Do you know a lot of Fultons? I'm not letting that go.
I can't say I do.
Okay. What is happening?
I'm just scrolling the roster.
Okay, what about 3 first names? Christian Roland Wallace.
Whoa. Fringe 53. All right. We've been going through random Chiefs games. We've been randomizing it and just, Tucker's rolling it on a wheel and we're picking the game. And looking at something from last season and maybe just trying to take some lessons away from that game. And this was probably one of the more interesting ones because it's the only real regular season loss for the Kansas City Chiefs when their starters played. And Chiefs lose to the Bills in week 11 of the 2024 season, 30-21. Matt Lane, what were your takeaways from that game?
Yeah, Nazeeh Johnson was a problem. That was my takeaway. He had a rough game across the board, actually. I think there's a couple plays where he gets straight up beat down the field by Amari Cooper. I think a little bit later by or maybe a Cooper again or Curtis Samuel. There's a couple plays in zone where I thought he was really late to react. And actually you saw Trent McDuffie in one time had to kind of cover for him and the ball didn't go that way. It ended up getting picked up for thrown to a different player that wasn't involved. But you could see McDuffie notice that Nazeeh Johnson was having a wrong, just covering the wrong zone. So he had to go give chase to Matt Collins down the sideline. So it was a tough game for him. I think you even get to the final touchdown scramble by Josh Allen, and there's a couple things that went wrong on that play. But I think one of them is that the Bills ran like a little mesh leak concept and Nazeeh Johnson was just in no man's land. He was kind of doing nothing on that play. And so when all the backers had to cover like the crossers, Nazeeh Johnson wasn't even positioned to drive downhill and they had absolutely nobody there. Like, I'm not saying he would have brought down Josh Allen or anything like that, but he could have at least been in position to maybe make a tackle and, see what would have happened over the next set of downs. And he was nowhere to be found. And then he eventually fell down trying to redirect. So just a tough game for Nazeeh Johnson across the board. And then I think from that game on, that was a big issue the Chiefs defense faced all the way up until the Super Bowl when Jalen Watson was able to come back. And then even once he came back, that probably wasn't his best game either. Obviously, that's not why the Chiefs lost, but I think we saw the weakness. We saw the weak links in that Chiefs secondary down the stretch. And I think this Bills game was one of the bigger examples of just how they really can't put Shamari Connor and Nazeeh Johnson out there at the same time. And they struggled with that for the rest of the season.
Mike Dana. A good one.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that one a little bit. I think, yes. Like, and the Bills game during the middle of this season was one that we circled for a lot of different reasons. And it was circled like for, 4 different reasons. Like, I think we all anticipated this would have the best chance of being the first or one, the most likely loss for the Chiefs on their entire schedule for the season, because you're going to Orchard Park in the middle of the season. Like, it felt like the most logical loss on the schedule. And so like you saw that, right? We saw, and I think building up to this game, we were talking about Nazeeh Johnson as like, okay, so how is he going to handle? How is he going to hold up? How are the Chiefs going to deal with the loss of Jalen Watson? Are we sure that Nazeeh Johnson is going to be the answer? And we circled this as like, this is the big test for this secondary to find out what they're made of, because this is the team that's most likely getting in the way of them making it to the Super Bowl at the end of the year, which proved to be right. So yeah, he had a rough performance. Mahomes kind of had a rough performance too. Like, there were some really rough moments, especially that first play early in the game. He overthrows and sails that first turnover and kind of puts them behind the game situationally early on. There's some struggles there. I just, you were ready to jump in. Go ahead.
I actually thought Mahomes played pretty well through the majority of the game. Like that first interception wasn't great, but if you go back and watch it, I mean, he's making a throw he's made 1,000 times, and the nose tackle, whoever it is, slips off his block and spins Mahomes' body as he's throwing it. So like we can argue that like, oh, don't make the decision while you're being contacted, but Mahomes has made that exact play while somebody's diving at him, 100 times, and it's usually works out. Just the timing was just a smidge off, and he got turned as he threw, so he couldn't follow through. So I mean, like that kind of to me goes in the same bucket as that interception in the Super Bowl where he's getting hit as he throws it. It's like, it's not, he can't control what happens at that point because it's a split second. But after that point, I thought he played pretty well. Like the Chiefs offense started slow. I thought he made some really nice throws. He did some of his best work out of the pocket, I thought, in this game, finding Hendershot down there by the goal line, the second touchdown to Noah Gray. Like he had some really nice throws in there. I thought so. Yeah, this was one of the games I was like, oh, I kind of see like the really, really good throwing, not football player, but like throwing version of Mahomes is still there, just on everything but the deep ball.
Well, it's funny. Like the Chiefs had less than 300 yards of total offense in this game.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
It wasn't. Xavier Worthy led the Chiefs and had more than the next two players in receiving yards. They had 4 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. It was fun to see them try to utilize him a little bit, kind of get him going right in front of the team that let them acquire him. So that was kind of funny. Walking away from this game too after watching, it's just so tough. Like this again, it's just like it's the same thing over and over. Like we anticipate, like this is probably the most likely loss for the Chiefs on the roster, at least in my opinion, or the schedule, at least in my opinion. It's the only loss. They avenged that loss in the playoffs in the AFC Championship. Man, we're pointing out all the issues that kept this team from winning the Super Bowl last year, and they addressed them. And yeah, maybe they didn't make giant steps forward from a roster construction perspective. You still have question marks about the defense. You still have question marks about the pass catchers. What is Travis Kelce? What isn't he? But I think this is also like this team is still at the top of this team is still at the top of the table, man. And they are still the best team in the AFC. I still think they're the best team in the AFC. We've had question marks. We've had big question marks about this team, and they've taken care of business on the AFC side of things. They ran into a buzzsaw on the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think it's tough to navigate like the turnover of this roster, whether or not it's good enough. I think the answer, yeah, it's frustrating to watch. And like the end result kind of becomes pretty clear, as you watch some of these games back. But they're right there, man. They're right there. And this team was out on a 4th and 2 play again to rip the heart out of the Buffalo Bills in the regular season.
Well, and like they lost this game while not playing particularly great, but I mean, like the Bills converted, I think I counted like 4 or 5 3rd and 7 pluses in this game, right? And it's just, and not saying that that's like completely, can't happen, sustainable. It won't happen anytime these teams play again, but like they completed a lot of 3rd and longs that they probably don't complete, and the Chiefs did, or like execute, and the Chiefs didn't, right? And that's going to be the difference. And come playoff time, that usually switches for the Chiefs. I thought going back to it, Najee Johnson had a rough go on some of those 3rd downs. Yep. There were some plays where Josh Allen did Josh Allen things. So I came away from this thinking like, hey, like I don't think a lot broke the Chiefs' way in this particular game. And yet they still had essentially a 4th and 2 chance to stop and only need a field goal. And I probably don't think any of us are doubting if they go down and kick a field goal at that point in time, right? Or if the Bills kick a field goal, do we think the Chiefs aren't going to come down and score a touchdown, right? So I think the Bills I don't want to say the right breaks, but probably played a cleaner, a better game, even though Josh Allen also made a really bad interception and had a couple breaks fall their way. And the Chiefs, again, were right there the whole time. And we're sitting here talking about, oh, Najee Johnson was really bad. Well, he's probably not going to be in that position this upcoming season. You're saying, you don't think Mahomes had his best game or made some mistakes in it. Yeah, that's true. And how much of that do we expect that to continue to happen all this next year? Or do we expect them to improve upon that? And so they should be theoretically getting better from this point on. I have another take from this game. Do you have something else from this game that you want to get into?
No, cook real quick.
Okay. I think the Buffalo Bills are a terrible matchup for Chris Jones.
Elaborate.
The new version of the Chiefs defense with Joe Cullen is Chris Jones hunting a matchup that he finds that he can win at the highest clip. He finds the weakest player and goes against him. Who is that for the Bills? There is a guy, the right guard, Osiris Torrance. Osiris Torrance, their right guard, is the guy that you want to get Chris Jones one-on-one with as much as possible. I don't disagree with that. I think that's where he has his most success. And it's not that Torrance is even a bad offensive lineman. He's just okay. He's probably like very middling, maybe a slight step below. That doesn't scream super mismatch, especially when a center can help. But okay, let's say even in this scenario, Chris Jones can get a one-on-one matchup with Osiris Torrance, and now he's got this two-way go to play with, and he can essentially win whenever he wants. Is Josh Allen the kind of quarterback that you can give a lot of space to win whichever way you want to? Mm-hmm. No, you better have somebody ready to cover when you get out of the B gap or when you get out of like this, out of the A gap. You better have somebody readily available to cover that gap you just left unattended, or Josh Allen's going to sprint right through it, which he does a lot. So when Chris Jones is hunting his matchup and he goes inside and gets that one-on-one with Torrance, he kind of has to win really, really quick, or he has to win really, really tight to the play. He can't give as much freedom or Josh Allen takes advantage. And the way the Chiefs play the Bills, because of Josh Allen's throwing ability, they don't have a linebacker spying or like mugging right on the line of scrimmage and ready to just shut down the run lane. They have somebody playing from a little bit more depth. So, and then when Chris Jones kicks outside to rush from outside, where he now maybe can have a little bit more freedom on a two-way go because you're a little bit farther away, you can cover it better. I don't think he has the speed to chase down Josh Allen winning off the outside when he wins that way. So it's just, I do think the Bills are a pretty tough matchup for how the Chiefs pass, like four-man pass rush in particular, centers around Chris Jones hunting matchups. And I think we saw that in this game when he was inside and he was winning on these, two-way goes. Josh Allen was scrambling a lot, including the 4th and 2 long run.
The last
Chris
play,
Jones wins.
Chris Jones was, man, he was
kind of wins.
Far, he was
he didn't really
wide. He was washed up the field.
Yeah,
wasn't great.
He gets pushed across the entire thing. But if you watch the game, even other times he wins, he wins hard outside. Well, if he doesn't immediately corner to Allen and whoever the nose tackle is gets sealed off by the center, or there's traffic in the way, Josh Allen's just going to replace where he won from, right? Over and over again. Okay, so you kick him outside and have him go up against Spencer Brown usually. Spencer Brown was just good enough to not lose immediately. And now when Chris Jones wins, he has to close distance from a pretty wide spot because the Bills set pretty wide. And Chris Jones isn't getting pressure of the quarterback, rushing essentially a deep up the arc, turning the corner and getting to Josh Allen before he can move off his spot. So I just think it's a pretty tough matchup for Chris Jones and the Chiefs to win the way they want to. And I thought it did kind of stand out to me in that game that he couldn't really tee off and not win or get pressure, but he couldn't complete the play very frequently in this game, and to the point where it kind of became a problem.
I feel like they let him hunt a little too much this last year. It feels like he had more flexibility this year than the year prior. And they were more deliberate with the usage of that in 2023. And I actually think it made the defense better, especially during the regular season. And I think there was more gap integrity to Chris during the regular season, and then they kind of let him loose a little bit during the postseason. So I don't know. Something to monitor there. There's another good lesson learned. Before we take a break, we do have to find out what game we are watching for Wednesday's show. Tucker D. Franklin jumping on with the Wheel of Names, Wheel of Games. I don't know what it's called. The Wheel
of Games.
Of Games.
Wheel of Games.
Let's find out. Right. Let's find out what game we're watching here for Wednesday's show. And
all right. Okay.
Come on, week 18.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some bangers on this one still, fellas.
Maddie is dying to watch Week 18.
Where did the wheel go?
You moved it. You took it out.
It winced away.
It winced away.
I knew it. You can't win that one. That's how you do it, kid. Take notes.
I refuse to respond. All right, here we go.
I don't need notes.
Oh, my goodness.
No way.
Oh, this is okay.
It's a back-to-back Bills. Back-to-back Bills.
This is great.
The AFC Championship game versus the Bills next Wednesday's game.
That's funny.
There it is. That's crazy. Good luck.
Okay.
I mean,
in some ways,
it's probably the most fun watch of the year, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's a good one.
I'm gonna go back and watch Craig's post game for this.
Oh yeah.
Because we were at the East West Shrine Bowl during this game.
Well, a couple of us were. Some of us were somewhere else.
We were physically there. Craig was physically there.
And we were physically in a cold pool.
And then, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That did happen.
Well, yeah. So we're going to watch the Bills AFC Championship game. Can't wait. It's going to be a good time. Bills week. It's Bills week here at KC Sports Network.
Kid's never been happier.
Yeah.
I know. It's his favorite quarterback twice.
going to take a break. We'll be back after this.
New ad read, by the way.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching the games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdictions. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
We are previewing every single position group for the Kansas City Chiefs during this offseason. Well, because it's the offseason, and we are scaling it on the Maddie Lane and Maddie Lane alone. Opinions of Maddie Lane do not reflect KC Sports Network gas station ranking scale. Maddie Lane walking us through real quick the gas station scale for those that are just listening and can't see it ticking on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, for those watching on the video, there is a little ticker across the bottom that is giving you the scale. And if not, I will quickly summarize the official KCSN gas station tier scale that is directly related to how good each position is. Quick Trip is tier 1, which is the best of the best. That is the top tier. That's what you want. Tier 2 is the Flying J. It's really good. You really like it. You love it when you go there, but you realize, it can be a little better. Tier 3 is 7-Eleven. It gets you by in a pinch. You'll stop in. You're not happy, but you're not mad you're there. It does the job. And then finally, tier 4 is Shell gas stations. I don't think I have to explain that other than the name is Shell.
Let's review the position itself. Who is in that position group? Trey Smith.
What position?
The interior offensive line.
Oh, okay.
I think I said that already, but maybe I didn't. Or maybe, I don't know.
Probably wasn't listening.
Mm-hmm. Creed Humphrey. Trey Smith, CJ Hansen, Hunter Norzad, Mike Caliendo, Dalton Cooper, and Tremaine Ingram as well, a recent signing to add to the roster. And you're maybe noticing that I didn't say one player because there's like a little ambiguity to his role, but it kind of feels like it's really trending towards him being more or less officially part of this group, and that is Kingsley Suamataia at the left guard position, potentially filling in there. So we will talk about him in a minute, I'm sure. But I think we're keeping Kingsley at the guard spot. We're putting Kingsley at the guard spot for these conversations moving forward. But before we get too far down there, I would like to ask you, Maddie Lane, who is the best player at the interior offensive line position for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, I mean, first of all, with Suamataia, I think that we have to acknowledge that he is playing tackle right now at OTAs. It seems like quite frequently, but Juwan Taylor is not participating. Josh Simmons has been in and out of participating, and I believe Jalen Moore has not been participating fully every time, right? So they just have needed somebody. So we don't really know what's up with Kingsley right now in the fact of where he's going to play. What we do know is Andy Heck and Andy Reid have referred to him as an interior offensive lineman. It just seems like he has taken snaps during OTAs at tackle. So I think we have to add him here. And we got to add him here because I think we already did tackles and we didn't talk about Kingsley.
And we said he's a guard. We said he's a guard.
No, and the Chiefs have too. I want to be very clear. I don't think either of us are expecting him to change where he's most likely going to play. So I also am not going to put him as the best player at the position. Kent, surprising, shockingly enough. I'm going to go, call me crazy, but with the recent news of Frank Ragnow retiring, I think and Jason Kelce retiring semi-recently as well, it's pretty clear. There's one tier 1 center right now in the NFL, and he plays the Chiefs. It's Creed Humphrey. I mean, he's the best player on this interior offensive line. He kind of does a little bit of everything for them. I mean, they get him out in space as a weapon. When he does get locked up one-on-one and pass protection, he does a pretty good job as long as guys aren't massive and just kind of overwhelm him, which doesn't happen a ton, but it can happen. There's been some games where I think Creed Humphrey has been a little up and down with his anchor on the interior as a pass protector, but some of that is centers just don't see a lot of guys in pass pro one-on-one. That's not what they're used to doing, so it kind of takes them by surprise early on in games when that happens. And as anybody else, he's as good as anybody else at getting through that. So Creed Humphrey, you can't really say enough good things about him as a player, but I think his intelligence and the way the Chiefs weaponize him out in space, whether it's on screen plays or pulling or even just working on his combo blocks and climbing up to the second level is, second to none right now in the NFL with, like I said, the loss of Jason Kelce retiring recently. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear he's the best center in the NFL, and that's obviously going to put you as the best player on the Chiefs interior offensive line.
100% agree. I think it is Creed Humphrey with the bullet. I think he is the clear-cut best player. I think he's a all-pro. I think he has the chance to be. What are you shocked by, Maddie? What is going on here?
You didn't rank the position group. You just tried to jump right into the best player. We didn't rank the position group at all.
That's true. I was so confused.
Maybe we should do it at the end.
It's a terrible idea, but I guess we can try it for this one show and one show only.
Good. The best player at the position is Creed Humphrey. I think he has a chance. I legitimately think he has a chance to be a Hall of Famer because I think he's going to rack up all pros and rings. And I think there's a chance that he's going to have the pedigree to be a Hall of Famer. I really think that's like the ceiling for him. Obviously, Trey Smith is an extremely talented guard that is going to get paid like he is the best at his position. But I do think Creed is, and Trey's fantastic. I think Creed is truly worthy of the title of the best center in football, and I think he's worthy of the best player at the position in the interior offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. So who takes a step? Who takes a step in your opinion, Matthew Lane?
Oh, let's go to Trey Smith. You just mentioned him. I want Trey Smith, and the reason we're going with Trey Smith here is I don't think last year was his best season for the Chiefs. I think that not that he had even more struggles, it just felt like the areas that Trey Smith doesn't do his best work in is where he was put a lot more frequently. And I think part of that is because him and Juwan Taylor playing next to each other aren't the best match. Juwan Taylor doesn't offer Trey Smith not even help, but he doesn't make Trey Smith's job easier. And it requires the guard playing next to Taylor to cover not only more ground the way the Chiefs go through their pass sets, with Juwan Taylor taking these vertical sets, not really giving a lot of, B gap help on his inside shoulder because of how quickly and deep he gets out of his stance. Trey Smith kind of has to watch both the B gap and the A gap, and he's not at his best with his lateral movement. Very explosive, very, in a linear sense, a great athlete. Having to change directions and constantly work laterally is not where he's at his best, right? And so I think playing next to Juwan Taylor stresses him a little bit more physically than what we were used to prior, and especially as teams have probably seen that and taken advantage of with stunts and twists. But I do think he can get better in this regard. He can play a little bit more patient with his hands. He can control how over-aggressive he is when he tries to throw these, powerful punches on the interior. And I would just like to see him to return to what he was the previous season, where I thought not only was he a lot more consistent, but he did a better job masking for where his deficiencies were. And part of that is he seems to be at his best when the Chiefs run game's working, when he's mixing up his sets, not only like pass sets variations, but also mixing up, hey, we're run blocking on this play or pass blocking on this play. And things are kind of like just back and forth and guys aren't getting to tee off on what his pass set is. He seems a little bit better. And the games where the Chiefs get stuck in their game script, I think that's where he struggles the most. So I would like to see Trey Smith return back to the fringe all-pro type player he was looking like he was on pace to be after the 2023 season, rather than the guy that we saw last year, which had the potential to be very good and any given week can be great, but also there are some matchups where he is going to be a little bit of a problem. And I don't think that's what the Chiefs can have next to Juwan Taylor.
There are big shoes to fill along the interior of the offensive line with Joe Thuney gone. And I think when it's all said and done, I do think when this offensive line is healthy at full strength, I believe Kingsley Suamataia will be the left guard for the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1. And I think he is going to take a big step as a football player this season. I think, I think the guard position potentially suits him well, right? We've seen some of his struggles, in space, in pass protection. And I think playing along the interior is going to give him a little bit less flexibility to have to worry about some of that from the interior. He's got exceptional movement skills as a run blocker. I think he could be another asset, a tremendous asset where you're kind of starting to rack them all up on that group, right? I mean, all of them could be really good assets to be utilized in a variety of different ways in the run game when you're kind of looking at it. Outside Juwan Taylor, even though like he can move, it's just what he does with it once he gets out in space is, I think, the question for him. But no, I think the transition for Kingsley could be huge for him, to the point where I think he's going to have a good season and take a step and be a starting quality guard for this football team in 2025. I think, they threw him to the wolves at tackle. And I think that gives people a perception of him right now that is tricky, right? They absolutely threw him into the fire and he didn't hold his own out at the tackle position. But I think this move for him along the interior could be good. There's still a ton of talent and ability there. There's an exceptional frame. There's good strength. He's got to continue to work with his hands. Like, his hands have got to get better. Like, whether you're playing outside or whether you're playing guard, hands got to be better. But I just think there's too much talent in Kingsley's body that he can't just step in and be a contributing guard. So I think it's Kingsley that takes a step, and I think we're going to be quite pleased with what Kingsley puts on tape at the guard position in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was the obvious guy to take a step because it was so bad at tackle last year. So, like, just even going from that bad to being mediocre to even being below average for a guard would be a big step forward. It would be, a pretty big for the Chiefs. Because I think that Mike Caliendo, while I had hopes for him, when I was kind of high on him, I like his athleticism and what he does out in space. I think what we did see, at least last year, playing next to Joe Thuney at bare minimum, he just isn't a starting caliber guy. He's not even, a below average starting guard. He's very much a reserve guard that can come in a pinch, and they need better than that. So Kingsley can take a step forward by not only being better than Caliendo was down the stretch, or just being better than what he was out at left tackle. I think the way his athleticism shows up on the field is probably better suited for guard than it was tackle too. He seemed to really struggle he seemed to struggle to maximize his athleticism while keeping good body posture. And that's why we constantly saw him with late hands. That's why you constantly see him get off balance. That's why you constantly just saw him never really in a great body position when trying to block guys out at offensive tackle, reduce the amount of space that he has to cover, and just let that athleticism show in a smaller area. And you probably will see the change of direction ability. You will see the power, the explosion come more frequently. So yeah, I'm excited to watch him play guard. That's why I keep hoping we get that week 18 game versus Denver too. I want to go, just watch that game before we come back. And hey, spoiler, that's going to be my entire takeaway when we do that game, is it's just going to be watching Kingsley the entire time, because that's the only tape that we are going to have of him at that position. So I think that was the obvious one. So that's why I went with Trey Smith.
All right, give me a sleeper UDFA to watch in this group, in this room that you're just paying attention to. I think we have a pretty good pulse on who the competition is for the starters, but we've seen the value of a Nick Allegretti in the past and a Mike Caliendo in the past. So who do you think has a chance to be a valuable contributor to this offense, to this offensive line group in 2025?
I mean, so like I said, I think Caliendo, I thought could be the next Allegretti, where if he had to step in and be a starter for half a season, you wouldn't necessarily notice a significant step back because they could protect him. Maybe it was because of the tackle situation next to him. That's not quite how it played out last year. So instead of going back to that, we'll just let him reset. Let's go to Hunter Norzad, second-year player out of Penn State. And I guess it's not cheating, but the reason we're going with him as being a little bit of a sleeper is, hey, he's the backup center. If something does happen to Creed Humphrey, he's the guy that's going to have to play. Again, we would have seen him a little bit in that Denver Broncos Week 18 game. I really liked him coming out of Penn State. I really liked him when we saw him at the East-West Shrine game. Just very smart, very technical blocker that checks all the boxes of what you need from athleticism, size, strength, and everything like that. But I think the mental side of how he approaches the game and how he plays is what's really stood out. So I think he's a guy that could be on that trajectory to being your utility, not your sixth offensive lineman that's usually reserved for your, a swing tackle, but he could be that utility offensive lineman that could play either guard spot or center for the team at a pretty good level at any point in time.
Yeah, much like the Allegretti arc, I do think there's positional flex to him. So, and I think Gretty started out as a center initially with the Chiefs as well, and then started playing more guard as his career kind of went on. And I think Norzad has true position flex there. I think he could play all three interior spots for you, and so that's a value add right there. I think his tape looked better than the CJ Hansen experience last season. CJ Hansen had some really, really, really rough moments both in the preseason and in that Week 18 game. There was some bright spots where you get why they are paying attention to him and why they drafted him, why they signed him, but he's just got a long ways to go. He's got some work to do, but there is tremendous ceiling and upside to what CJ Hansen can be. Norzad, I think, has a chance to replace Mike Caliendo as soon as this season. I think he's a more talented player. I think there's more ability to Hunter Norzad than Caliendo. And I credit to Mike Caliendo, smart football player, beloved by the team, all that stuff, deserves a ton of credit. I think Hunter Norzad has a little bit more ceiling and ability to where, maybe even Hunter Norzad's in the mix a little differently than Mike Caliendo is in 2025. So, I think you're right. I think Hunter Norzad is the play. Any player that you would like to see this team add to the interior? The answer is no.
Nah, I think the interior is in a pretty decent spot. They have two known commodities at starter. At this point, Wanya Morris or Kingsley need to earn a starting job somewhere on this offensive line. And the only open spot for this season right now is going to be that left guard spot. So one of those two has to win it. You can't be bringing somebody else in to compete. They've invested too much in this offensive line to not have one of those two cheap contracts be starting next to hopefully Josh Simmons, but if not, Jalen Moore for 1 year. So yeah, one of those two guys has to have it. No need to bring anybody in. I don't hate Caliendo still as depth. I kind of am excited about Norzad as being, elevating himself up to being that utility guy. I don't see another need on the interior right now.
I agree. I don't really want to see them this. I think we've said this a couple of times with certain positions. If you're going to go add a late free agent to a position, this has got to be pretty low on the list, if not the lowest. I just don't see the value in adding another interior offensive lineman. Yeah, that one too. Anyways, now that we've gone through the entirety of the position, we've looked at the scope, and let's rank it. Let's rank it on the Maddie Lane scale that is Maddie Lane's and only Maddie Lane's opinion. Where do you have the Chiefs interior line on the Maddie Lane gas station scale?
So now that we've talked about the entire interior offensive line, it's no longer fun of us coming off the top with the heater one-liner and, the topic sentence of this entire thing for the official KCSN gas station ranking scale. We'll do it here at the end. The Kingsley question is really, really important to answering this. I don't think that the backup interior offensive line for sure got better than what it was last year, and we saw what it looked like when they had to dip into the reserves, right? Do I think that Caliendo or Norzad could be better than what they got last year out of Caliendo? Yes, but I don't think it's a guarantee. So you don't know if you got better in the reserves. You obviously are taking a big step back at the left guard spot. And the question is just going to be, how big of a step back? Is it so far that after 2 weeks, you're trying to bench Kingsley again? Is it so far that Mike Caliendo is going to start the majority of the year and Kingsley's relegated to being that backup? Because that's not great at all. So I guess until I see a little bit more proof in the pudding, I got to go 7-11. It's a good 7-Eleven. It's a nice one. It's in a nice neighborhood. It just got built. They have everything fresh and new. But like, I have a few too many questions about what the left guard spot might look like. And if Trey Smith can't take a rebound to what he was in 2023 and we get the same version of him last year, like just the floor of the interior offensive line room is so much lower this year than it has been since Joe Thuney got here. And those two rookies came into the league with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. The floor is so much lower right now.
I think with Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, it was a no doubter quick trip.
Yes.
I think it's still a quick trip.
Whoa. This is probably about the biggest gap I think we've ever had on one of these.
I'm stunned you're going 7-Eleven. I'm stunned you're going 7-Eleven.
Okay, let's break it down. What do you think the reserves are by themselves?
No, listen. Let me make my argument in the framework. I think having two blue chip players at the interior of your offensive line is just a really, really high bar to clear. I still think Trey Smith. I know you're down on Trey Smith a little bit. I still think Trey Smith is one of the 10 best guards in football. And I think he's still got. I still think he's got, plenty of good football ahead of him, and he's still a young player, and I think he's going to have a fantastic season. So I am buying Trey Smith. Okay. I think they have the best center in football. And when you're looking at an interior offensive line with two players that I consider to be blue chips, I'm having a hard time knocking it too much farther. I don't think Mike Caliendo starts for this football team. And I think the options and I think the depth of this interior offensive line is actually better than it was last year. And the reason being because you're right. You throw Wanya Morris into the mix. You throw Kingsley Suamataia. You've got those two guys involved in the conversation. I think that raises the floor of the I think that raises that up to having better options than Mike Caliendo. I think one of those two has the ability to step in and play much better than Mike Caliendo did. So where last year they had the best interior offensive line in football, hands down, I think it's a step down, but I still think it is one of the best in the entire National Football League. Go find a team with two blue chip players like they have on the interior offensive line. I don't think you're going to find too many with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, two top 10 players at their position. So I still think it's a quick trip. I think it's a low-level quick trip, and I'm buying the outlook of some of these guys. I'm buying the outlook of the left guard position being solved with the options that they have on the roster currently.
Boy, I would have a really hard time calling Trey Smith a blue chip player, especially for the Chiefs after what we just saw. We're doing re-Washingtons right now, right? We're going back and we're watching these games. When's the time you looked out there and said, "Oh wow, Trey Smith's killing it"? Which game have we done where you sat out there and thought that Trey Smith was a difference maker?
Yeah, I don't know if I've singled him out.
There's been some bad ones too. Like it's just, I think there's a chance, and I'll stand by this. I think Trey Smith would be a better guard for a lot of other teams that would really lean into his strengths more than the Chiefs ever will. So I don't mean this is like a complete knock. I think a lot of it is his fit with this team and where they sit. But like at the end of the day, Trey Smith's going to have to go out there and he's going to pass protect a lot. He's going to have to be a finesse run blocker because all their run plays are going to be finesse, and he's going to have to cover a lot of ground playing next to Juwan Taylor. And like those are all into his weaknesses. Those all make his job and like how he plays as difficult as it can be. So I already have a hard time starting with him in the blue chip category for the Chiefs. And then that takes me to left guard. Boy, if I was that certain that Kingsley or Wanya Morris were better than Caliendo, then I would have loved to see them play against the Eagles. I would have loved to see that even be a possibility if I was certain that was going to happen.
Just the way that team has operated historically, I don't think that was even in the realm of possibility of them considering that. Whether or not he was performing well or not. Like that's just not how they run. That's not how they roll.
Yeah, but if it was such a sure thing, I think they when it's a sure thing, they change it. When Kingsley was playing bad, he got benched. When Wanya was playing bad, he got benched. When Donovan Smith wasn't playing great, they're like, "Oh, you can take your time coming back. We'll run out this rookie and let him try it out at the end of the year." Until it didn't work. Like when things are going poorly, they will make changes or they'll let stuff happen. And I don't think they were ever going to bench Caliendo in the middle of the game. I don't think Caliendo was the only reason the offensive line was bad. It just was never even questioned if they were going to start somebody else over him. And while I think Kingsley's upside is better than Caliendo's at guard, I would 100% start him. And if Wanya Morris kicked inside, I would 100% want to see him start over Caliendo. I just can't say for certain that I think either one of those guys are going to provide even his level of play at this point. So yeah, I guess I'm being a little harsh, I think, on Trey Smith coming off of what last year looked like. and buying the uncertainty at the left guard spot. Whereas I think that you are a little bit higher on Trey Smith coming off of last year and you're buying in the upside. It's just crazy that we are skipping an entire tier to get to that spot.
So, real quick before we get out of here, would you pay Trey Smith? Top of market deal.
You put me in a trap. Yes, I would, because I still think he's a very good red chip offensive guard. I think he's very good. I just want to see him rebound. And I think as much of my issues with him is playing next to Juwan Taylor. I just don't think those two guys mesh. I really don't. And the way the Chiefs the way the Chiefs pass protection scheme works, it's not going to change. Juwan Taylor is going to be vertical set. I mean, that's not the scheme. That's just what he does. But he's going to get out fast and he's going to go. And the way the Chiefs have their pocket structure, we talked about it a lot last year. It's a tight, narrow pocket that they kind of focus their tackles. They're focusing on depth. Not well, but they're trying to. And that leaves a lot of space for Trey Smith, who is just not the most laterally agile guy. He's also kind of inflexible in terms of like turning and locating and reframing guys. So I just think in this current situation with what they ask for him to do and playing next to Juwan Taylor, it's going to be tough. If they get a different right tackle, a better right tackle, one he meshes with better, I think it changes a lot. And if you get rid of Trey Smith, who's playing right guard, not even just like next year, but like the following year, like you got to go invest in that spot. And I'm already talking about the questions I have at left guard. Do we really want to add that into right guard? So yeah, I'd pay him. I think he's still in the mix. It's just, I don't love his fit with the current version of the Chiefs. And that's where my pause comes in.
That is going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Tumultuous ranking for the KCSN tier scale.